In today's Academy lesson, we're going to talk about breaks, and not breaks in the typical sense of a pinky break or a thumb break or any sort of that. We're talking about taking breaks from Magic in general and how that could be ultimately beneficial for improving your Magic as opposed to being something harmful. Now, the initial mindset is that if you take time away from Magic and you take a break from Magic, you're going to have less time practicing, you're going to practice less, and therefore it's going to be detrimental to your Magic and detrimental to your sleight of hand. And while some aspects of that might be true, ultimately the benefits outweigh the negatives because taking a step away from Magic will actually improve your creativity. Now, there are several things that taking a break away from Magic will help out with, which is what I want to go through this video. But the first thing is it gives you time to focus on you. As I mentioned before, Magic, even though it is something that is a love, it is something that I pretty much just base my entire life on, I know that it's not the entire thing that is encompassing my life. And unfortunately, I think when you're younger in Magic, you use Magic as a crux to be able to socially interact with people, and you use Magic as a crux as that replacement for a social personality, and you can't have that. You need to have something that's you. This does scare a lot of magicians starting out because usually that's all they have. They start with Magic, and then Magic becomes their personality. They become that person in school that is, hey, show me a trick. You're that Magic person. And that's not how it should be. You should be able to have a personality of your own that you fall back on. So if this is ever gone, this is still around. So taking a break from Magic really does help you focus on yourself as opposed to focusing on other aspects of Magic that you can improve. And you notice the greatest magicians all have these personalities and could all function and could all be around without Magic. David Blaine would just as well be a crazy person if it wasn't for the Magic tricks. Just look at the way he is without doing any sort of card tricks at all. The guy does crazy stuff, doesn't necessarily have to rely on Magic. David Williamson is possibly the funniest person I've ever seen, and if you take away the Magic, he's still a gosh darn funny person. So taking a break away from Magic really does help you develop your own personality, develop your own kind of skills that don't necessarily involve sleight of hand, so that when you come back to Magic, then you're going to only improve it by adding that to the actual equation itself. Now, as far as your creativity, I think taking breaks is the #1 thing that could improve your creativity, and on top of that, improve your creativity in the long run so that you are able to come up with more stuff on a more regular basis. Now, when it comes to this concept, one of the kind of converse ideas in it is that sustained attention to a certain stimuli, in this case, Magic or practicing, is actually going to have you rely on fixed solutions, which means that if you sustain your attention on this one thing for a significant amount of time, you're going to resort back to solutions that have worked for you in the past. Now, what taking a break aids in this situation is that it kind of breaks that mold, and it breaks those fixed solutions that you may have had for previous problems and has you think outside of the box. So when you take a break, your brain starts thinking in a different sense that it's not going to think when you're practicing or when you're currently in the Magic mode. It's going to hunt for other solutions that you might not have previously seen because you've been so focused on one particular stimuli or focused on one particular aspect, which is in this case practicing or performing or just being on that Magic mode. So taking a break helps in that aspect because you're going to think of ideas that you wouldn't have otherwise thought about when you're too focused on trying to figure out ways to get that card to the top. So think about different ways to just step away from Magic, whether that's for a day or a week. Just think about different ways that you could do that because ultimately you're going to have a different mentality when you come back. So a lot of studies have taken the focus of creativity and breaks on creativity. So it's kind of interesting to see the application of Magic in this sort of sense. Now, from personal experience, I can tell you that I have taken some breaks away from Magic in the past. I think as long for a month that I didn't do anything, didn't pick up a deck, didn't practice, didn't think about Magic, or didn't try to think about Magic. And I found that when I came back to it, I had just this influx of ideas and this influx of just a bunch of creative ways to improve tricks that I thought were unfixable and tricks that I thought were pretty much stuck just by stepping away from Magic. Because when I came back and saw these same tricks, because when I came back, I was thinking in a different sense, and that really ultimately helped out in the long run. Now, of course, taking a break isn't going to help your sleight of hand because sleight of hand is something that is a motor skill. It's something that is manual. It's something that you're going to need to practice in order to improve. So this concept of taking breaks isn't going to apply to sleight of hand. I want that to be clear from the start because people are going to say, oh, you know, what about sleight of hand? that's not going to help. You're going to need to practice. And that is true. You're definitely going to need to practice. There's no substitute for practice when it comes to mastering moves or trying to improve your mastery of moves. So this is more for creativity. This is more for taking a look introspectively at yourself and trying to improve yourself around the magic, as opposed to just trying to improve the magic and then forgetting about yourself. So too long, didn't read. If you want to improve your sleight of hand, definitely keep practicing. But if you want to improve your creativity and you want to think more creatively when it comes to magic, card magic, coin magic, mentalism, think about taking a break. Consider taking a break and consider stepping away from magic for a little while. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to mean you forget about magic, but it just means that you have magic aside and you focus on other things. And you're going to see once you come back, you are going to be creatively flooded with a bunch of ideas that you wouldn't have otherwise had if you would have stuck around and kept focusing on this one task at hand. So this academy lesson isn't going to be as long as the other ones, but I think it does contain one of the most important things that I will ever tell you as a magician and as a person to think creatively and to focus on yourself. So definitely take the advice to heart. Definitely consider taking breaks from magic, and you're going to see that it's going to ultimately benefit you in the long run. So thank you guys for being part of this Pick Cake Card Academy. Thank you guys for being consistently part of it, and I hope to see you guys on the next lesson.